Okay, so welcome everyone to this week's webinar, which is a Datablock in Focus webinar, part of a series of webinars which eMite are doing these days to try and basically highlight a number of the different features and things within the solution for not only our customers, but also people who are looking to use eMite as well. So on the call today, we have two people, myself, who is the moderator of this session, and I head up operations within Prophecy International, which is the company which sells eMite. And also the person who's going to be doing all the work on the session and demonstrating to you all the cool stuff that we can do is Ria De Jesus. And she is our customer training manager. And she basically will take you through today's webinar, which is very, very, very exciting. Today we're going to be focusing on three particular data blocks. One is called the date picker, one is the dimension filter, and the other one is the drill through. So I don't want to waste any more of the time with my speaking, so I'm going to hand over straight to Ria, and Ria, you can kick off.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen. And again, welcome everybody to another session of Datablock in Focus. As Stephen mentioned, we'll be zooming in into these three different types of data blocks today. And just so you know, for those of you who just joined us for the first time, we have actually started all of these webinars for the past couple of weeks. So for you to do some catching up to do, you can check out our YouTube channel and just search for eMite, and you will see there's a specific playlist for all of the other webinars we've had in the past weeks. So that would be very, very cool, and you would see that we're building up on these webinars. One webinar we had a couple of weeks ago would be cube reports. So this is actually a good supplement to that webinar. So we'll focus on the three data block types I've previously mentioned. So eMite is such a great business intelligence solution. As we all know, it's highly customizable. It has a lot of different features, and along with the different data blocks we have, eMite is definitely time bound with this data block type, which is the date picker, and you will see that later on, and how it works and how it would complement your dashboard reporting. Next would be eMite is such a flexible platform and allowing you to really work on your data the way you want it represented, and that's also being or it happens because of one of these data blocks we have, which is a dimension filter. And you will have all the details available of all the numbers, the measures that you see, and you would have an access of everything that we have in a particular index, and that's through the drill through. So we'll cover that as well in a bit later. So I'll just go ahead and quickly share my slides. And as you can see, we have a ready eMite page, and I have some cube reports, as you can see, and I want to make this better and make my dashboard report more meaningful. So I'll start off with the date picker first. So let's just go ahead and click on the plus sign. In the event that you would want to add more data blocks in your page, as we all know, just go under edit page and add content, and it would allow you to just add on additional data blocks. In the previous webinars, it was asked if there's a maximum number of data blocks that you can add in a page. The answer is yes, and you can add as much as 10 data blocks altogether. All right, so that's just a quick trivia. So let's go ahead and add date picker. So right off the bat, you can rename the header. I'll just keep it at date picker. I'll remove one, and I want to have a different header color for this. I'll choose dark blue and just hit on add, and there you go. So I'll just quickly expand this to have a better view. So I'll just walk you through some of the data block header icons that we have here. So we'll start off with the header style. You can go ahead and rename your header style if you want to, even change its font, make the font size bigger. So I'll just keep it as is for now. And you can also add a description that would reflect in your date picker data block. So I'll go ahead and try to do that. Say I would put select time frame for your report as necessary. I'll just fix this quickly. Oops. Okay, just making sure. Okay, I have the right spacing, and I would want to choose Arial for this. Click on OK. I can even just change the font color if I want to, but I just want to keep it as is. And there you would see where the description text would be placed. Now, if you just want to change its position and have it in the center or on the right side, you can also do that. Just quickly hover on to display config over here, this icon, and it would allow you to reposition the filter itself as well as the description text. But I just want to keep it as is, or let's put it in the center. There you go. All right. Now, we also have other types or other options for this date picker. But before we do that, let's go ahead and link it first to our cube reports over here. And as you know, you can also filter from a time perspective. You can filter your data blocks from a data block level when you just go over and look for time config, right? So it's the same purpose. That's another option for you. Though the thing is, you would have to do that individually per data block, right? Now, the beauty of the date picker is that you can link it to multiple data blocks and it would carry over the filter to those data blocks you've linked. So let's go ahead and do that. I want to link my date picker to both of these cube reports and just select all, click on link, then you're good to go. So if I say choose a different time frame here, it would automatically update your reports all together. So both of these cube reports. So say if I just try to change it today, would be the filter. There you go. It just took its sweet time. So please just know that I'm also working on a demo instance and some demo data. So it might come off with something, but yes, thank you. We now got something out of the demo data, but that's just what I'm trying to show you, that your date picker will be filtering for both cube reports. Now, I mentioned earlier as well that your date picker would have different options by default. This is, so just click on or look for change type. By default, it would be drop down. You would also have a button option. So let's try to see what that looks like. So you would have a month to date and a year to date. So if you just click on that, then it would just basically revert to the entire time frame for year to date. Now, another option that we have is slider. Though it's a bit visually, it's not really nice to look at for now. So let me just do some moving around with my data blocks over here and say I want to put it down here and expand this a little bit more. So there. Now you can go ahead and pick your start time or your start date rather and your end date. So pretty much customizing it. And you would see that it would naturally update your report depending on the range that you have selected, right? So those are three options, just depending on how you want your report to look. It really depends on the aesthetics that you would want to have in your dashboard. So I'll work on this cube report in a bit, the percentage abandoned cube report I have here in just a sec. But let me just bring this back to a drop down and I'll bring it back to its original. Oops, so just make this a little bit smaller. All right. Right, so if you notice, since we just came from the slider option for your date picker, that's basically the custom option in the dropdown. So you can, wherein you can select arrange. So I'll just select all time and bring it back to how it was. All right. So that's it for date picker. Just the other header options that you have here as well would be as template. You can save your data block as a template so that you can just reuse it over and over for other pages and other reports. And this was the display config that allows you to just move the configuration of your drop down and your text. This one is just showing the data block as a separate tab in your browser. And then this is just to maximize it, very helpful for cube reports when we configure them. And this is just basically to close it out or probably change the data block type if you need to. All right, so that's basically it for date picker. Now let's move on to dimension filter. So let's click on the plus sign, and then this time around, let's select dimension filter. And this time I would want to use a violet header. All right, and let me just work on this. Okay, probably make this a little bit longer. Okay, good. So we have a blank bare dimension filter. So we'll go ahead and just also go through the same thing. Pretty much it has a similar set of header icons, that of date pickers, but I'll just also configure what we have here for dimension filter and do the same and put a description, pretty much giving the user a reminder on how to use this data block. Select, say, groups for your report as necessary. So this is totally optional. If you don't want to put anything in the description, you can just leave it blank. And I'll also use an Arial font. Then there we go. So other options that we have here, of course, is still linking your dimension filter to the other data blocks you have on the page. And again, as you know, there are a multitude of ways in filtering data in eMite. You can also do that from a cube report standpoint, from within the cube. You can do it from a data block perspective. But if you would want to do it for multiple data blocks in your dashboard, then the best way to go is to add a dimension filter. All right, so let's go ahead. There's also different types of dimension filter. This is by default the option that we're going to get. Tree view will also have a drop down, and we'll see how that looks like in just a sec. So let's select the data source first. So, as we know, dimensions would be the different categories made available out of the box on how you can slice and dice your data and the measure that you have in your report. So let's go ahead and try to select basically the x-axis or the categories that you would want to use in your dimension filter by clicking on data source. So by default, you would have the cube selected to eMite, and then you just need to select which index you would want to get those dimensions from. So I would want to get it from my favorite, Q history, and then you would now get all the options similar to the options that you would get for your x-axis if you are creating a cube report. So for this one, I would want to select media type for my dimension filter, as well as Q name. So let's keep it at those different dimensions. Click on OK, and you would see the options here. Now we're not done yet. because you would then have to link your dimension filter to your cube reports, as that's the main purpose and intent. So just select, click on link, then you're good to go. So for instance, if I would just want, like here in my percentage abandoned report, I have all the different queue names, right? So I can go ahead and filter that out to just the ones that I oversee as a contact center manager, and say I'm just responsible for customer experience, billing as well, help desk, and member services. And then all I have to do is just to click on filter over here. If I want to add an additional filter for media type and would just want to see all voice transactions, then I can go ahead and put a check mark on this as well and hit filter. Then you would naturally see that your report will be updated to the filter that you've selected, right? So a tree view is good to have multiple selections. Now, the other option that we have, if you click on change type over here, would be drop down. And you will have your drop downs here, but this will just allow you to, well, the reason why I just have this one option here and not all the media types, because I have pre-selected that in the tree view. So naturally, if I just go back and just clear all the filters and change to drop down, I will then have all the options. So that's another quick tip. So if you just want to filter your options right off the bat, you can select that from the tree view option and change to a drop down, and that's the only, or the ones you've checked would only be the ones visible for your options. All right. So with the drop-down option though, you will just be able to select one of each in your dimension. Unlike in the tree view, you'd be able to do multiple selections. So again, really depends on how you would want to have your report presented and your data visualized. So I'll just quickly go back to my tree view, and I just would want to select voice, and again, just all my groups. So I'm happy with that. Click on, filter. Then this is all I have. So I'm pretty happy with this report. Okay, now there's one more data block type that we're about to cover. So done with the filters, date picker and your dimension filter. Now I want to see the details of these different measures. So I can just add another data block. And this time around, I will add drill through. So for this one, I just want to change the name to details and use a different header color, orange. Click on add. And again, we'll pretty much have a blank drill through data block. So I'll just quickly maximize this for better view. And we have, if you would notice, we have different set of header icons for a drill through data block. And the drill through data block is very versatile, and it's pretty much going to give you access to everything in a particular index that you would select, right? But we'll go through some of the basic uses of a drill through today, and we'll have a separate session just for the other advanced settings that you can make use of in the drill through data block. But for now, we'll go ahead and just go over some of the header icons that you have here. So header style, renaming it, adding borders as needed. So we also have as template, pretty standard across all the different data blocks, as you can save it and reuse it. showing and hiding of different columns would be very helpful and useful whenever you make use of a drill through. So we'll see that in action in a bit. And also, since you will have the drill through data in grid form, you will then also have these export icons for you to be able to make use of the raw data to your liking. All right, so we'll go ahead and just have to link this drill through data block to the two cube reports we have on the page. So I'll just minimize this for now. And I would want to make this to the size that I want. All right, that's just about it. Now let's link your cube reports to the drill through data block. So I'll start off with the percentage transferred and link it to details. Very good. Same thing for this report for percentage abandoned. So now as you try to click on this particular measure, you would then see that from your drill through, you will get all the details of that particular measure for, or the percentage transferred for member services. So this is where the hiding and showing of the columns would be very helpful. So when you click on this, you can just go ahead and select the columns that you need. Go ahead and uncheck all of those. Say, I just want to see the queue name, direction, media type, start date, link date, and just probably scroll down. And as you can see, it has a whole ton of different data, pieces of data and information. As we have mentioned earlier, it's giving you an access to everything or all of the information that that particular index has. So say I'm happy with these columns that I just need for my report, and I click on OK, then I will just see those columns that I have selected. There's more that you can do here. So if you click on grid rule, you can basically, but I'll just go ahead and select all of the different media types as well. So grid rules will just basically allow you to set some settings pretty similar to threshold settings for cube reports. So you can just select which column you would want for that rule to take effect, and then what the operator is, then say voice. Can either change the font color you want. If you want, you can just also opt to change the whole color of the column, or just the row, or the entire row will be highlighted. So it really depends on how you would want it to be. So let's just say I want the row, and click on apply to row. And there, pretty much, because I have all voice here. But if I just change or clear all the filters, and if I'm happy with this, just making sure I have all my settings set, then let's click on save page, right? And let me just reload it. So let's see. Or maybe because I just have voice here. But if you would then have other media type available in your data, then you will see that it would have different rows as well. But since we selected the grid rule just for voice, then we're good. So the other settings or the other tabs over here, I will reserve that to a different session for a more advanced use of the drill through. But before that, there's still one more use for drill through. We did pretty much link all of these 3 different data blocks to the cube reports I have set or I have saved in my report sets. But what if you just want to use a drill through on its own and not link it to anything else? That's also a possibility. So I'll have a blank page over here and click on drill through. Just keep it by default and make this a little bigger. So if you just look for the icon that has cogs in it, so click on it, index search settings. So this is pretty similar to if you're creating a cube report or the other data blocks that we have. If you look for the data source for a drill through, this is pretty much the data source. So we're just selecting the cube and what index we're selecting. So say I want to use agent observations. And it also has similar to a date picker configuration or option within your index search configuration, and select your time frame right off the bat. And also, just as best practice, always click on link date. I'll go ahead and discuss this in a bit. This is another option for you to filter, but I'll get back to that. When I click on OK, it would pretty much give you everything within that index. So naturally, you can filter from within the data block by just using the filter icon. If we go back to the index settings, you can also add rules to set for your filter. So select which column you would want that. So agent routing status equal to, and then what particular keyword would that be? So it then would naturally filter it out to the rule that you have set. I'll just close that out. Now, another way to filter is to complement this drill through with a dimension filter if you want to. So let me go ahead and just minimize this and move this a little bit to the right, make it a little bigger. All right, and then choose your data source. So I think I selected agent observations for this. And what dimensions would you want to use to be able to filter all of the information that you have access to or you have visibility on in your drill through? So say you just want to use agent name as one of your dimension in your dimension filter, queue name. So all of these things you can pre-select to your liking. So say you have that already set. Let's make this a little bigger. Then you would have to link your dimension filter to your drill through. Click on that and say you just want to see all of the information on a particular agent. Let's try Aaron. There, let's try someone else. Or if you want to add multiple or want to select multiple agents, then those are the advantages of adding and linking a dimension filter to your drill through. So it would do the work for you and just map the information that you have selected through your dimension filter. All right, so another option that we have for your index settings over here, let me just go ahead and quickly save this. If you notice, And I know I mentioned early on, we'll have a whole different webinar session just for the other settings made available in the drill through. And one in particular will be real time. If you are into creating wall boards and how you would want to make more meaningful wall boards and you would need and maximize real-time data, I will reserve a different session for that. But just so you also see, this is one of the options in the index search configuration, the real-time piece. So you just need to enable that and just select which group you would need to see the data from. So say agent presence, who are the ones on queue, who are the ones currently interacting. And you can also set a filter rule right off the bat. I'll just keep it blank for now. And let's just switch from one page to another just to give it some time to populate the data. It should come up in just a sec. Let's try that again. There. So can naturally filter still within your drill through or set it from the settings itself. So I'll have a different session just on real time and how we can maximize this. But pretty much that's our session for today. I would like to take it as supplemental data blocks that would give more meaning to your custom dashboard reportings. And even if you go to some of the out-of-the-box dashboards, then you'd be able to recognize that, hey, that's a date picker, that's a dimension filter, it's a drill through. And there's so much that you can do with these different types of data blocks. So I'll just pass it over to Stephen if the group has any questions at this point.
Great, thank you, Ria. That was really awesome. I really love how you can control all elements on a dashboard with these simple date pickers and dimension filters to get to the data that you need to get to really, really fast. I think we've run a bit short on time for questions. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to email Ria after this webinar and she'll be more than happy to respond and answer your questions. Alternatively, this webinar is going to be recorded as well and will be put up within that same YouTube channel which Ria showed before. And I am very much looking forward to the advanced drill through session. Ria, sounds exciting. There's a lot of options, it seems.
Yes, there's so much into the drill through data block, and we just have half an hour to cover all of these content. So definitely reserving another separate session just for that. So looking forward to it.
Well, thanks Ria for that presentation today, and thanks everyone else for joining. And until next time, see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.